My brand new Q3 just came in, and I still wasn't sure whether I should have upgraded from my Leica Q2. I knew there would be a long wait time for the Q3, so I decided to just get in line and keep researching whether I should upgrade from the Q2. When you pre-order from B&H Photo, you do have to pay in full upfront, but I thought I could always cancel the order if I changed my mind. And when you pre-order from B&H, they don't send you a message saying, hey, your item just came in, do you still want to purchase? No, they send you a message saying, hey, your item just shipped. I'll go through my unboxing and first impressions of the Q3. I'll do a side-by-side comparison to the Q2, and I'll go through my thought process about how I was deciding whether to upgrade from the Q2 and whether it's worth it. I'll show some sample photos from the new Q3, but this is not a detailed review of the photo capabilities between the Q2 and the Q3. But spoiler alert, I'm keeping the Q3 and I'm not returning it. I'll fast forward through the unboxing because it's not all that interesting, but I was hoping that Leica would be getting away from these huge boxes. The M11 came in a more compact box, but now with the Q3, they went back with the huge box. There's a camera box on top and two small drawer boxes below that, one for the accessories and one for the documentation. I know that I should keep the box and everything in it for the time when I resell it in the future, but I think I'm just going to throw it away anyway just because it takes up so much space. Here's everything that comes in the accessory box. There's a Leica Photos cable which connects the iPhone to the camera to download your photos, but I won't be using that. I usually just put in my SD card into the computer to download the files that way. There's a lens ring to put on the lens to cover up the threads if you're going to use it without the lens hood. But I just ordered a new lens hood in a silver color from the Leica store, so I'll start out using that. The new BP SCL6 battery, which has an extra 18% capacity. The charger and the cables, I won't be using those. I'll usually have an extra battery with me during the day, and I'll charge the camera with USB overnight. The Leica camera strap looks like the usual black leather Leica camera strap that they usually use, but now it comes with those leather guards, and it has that small plastic tool to help you install the rings, and that made a big difference to me this time. The documentation box includes the inspection certificate, a quick start guide, and information on how to register your product. I recommend registering your camera online to get the extended warranty, and you're supposed to also get 3 free issues of the digital Leica magazine, but I've never actually gotten that before when I registered my other products. And here's that beautiful Q3 camera straight out of the box, and it looks pristine and it looks amazing. It's the same size as the Q2, but it looks smaller here just because it doesn't have any strap attached, no accessories, and no camera case. Everything looks so clean and minimal. There's no noticeable odor from the leather covering, and the build quality is no disappointment. It still feels as solid as the Q2, and it feels great in the hand. It already has the lens hood and the lens cap installed on the lens. It's the same exact lens as the Q2 and the Q, but I can confirm that the lens cap seems to be more firmly attached to the lens hood. It's not difficult to get it off. If you just twist it, it comes off pretty easily, but it doesn't seem like it's going to fall off. I put in the battery and tried to power it up, but it wouldn't turn on because the battery wasn't charged. So I took out the battery from my SL2S and put it in the new Q3 to set it up. Here's the startup animation, and after that's finished, it asks you to select your language, and it guides you to connect the camera to the iPhone Photos app. After that, everything is ready to go. You don't have to set the time or your location, and I confirmed in the camera settings that the time in the camera is correct. Both the Q2 and the Q3 feel very similar in the hand. I'll put up the measurements that I took personally, but what I found is that the dimensions are very similar. So I think they used the exact same outer case and made the changes to the back. I think the layout on the back looks better on the Q3, but I can confirm that it is thicker at the screen, and the Q3 weighs more, which I don't notice when I'm handling it. I'll take you through the process of how I decided to upgrade from the Q2 and to try to find out whether it was worth it for me. Everybody's definition of value is different and personal to them, so this won't apply to everyone. But the logical process is to look at all the new features of the Q3 and decide which of them are pertinent to you and which are most important to you, and whether those features are worth it to upgrade to the Q3. But logic isn't the only thing at play when it comes to purchasing a Leica. It's also an emotional decision, and you have to try to take into account the intangibles and include that in your decision. I'm not talented enough to come up with a slick graphical presentation, so we'll do this PowerPoint style. I'll start with the new features that I think are nice to have, but are not extremely important to me and should not come into play when making my decision. The 60 megapixel sensor is nice to have if I want to crop in closer on my pictures, but I found that the 47 megapixel on the Leica Q2 was plenty enough for me. And the triple resolution DNG allows you to size down to smaller files, but that isn't really important to me either. I usually keep it on maximum resolution since I don't really have a problem with the storage space. I don't notice a huge improvement with the increased resolution of the EVF. I think the EVF on the Q2 was fine enough for me. And having the option of Cine 8K video also wasn't pertinent to me. I do use the Q to shoot video, but I usually just keep it on 4K. And I don't think I would ever use the HDMI port to attach an external monitor. That just negates the advantage of the Q3 of having it being so light and compact. I don't think I would ever be in a situation where I would need to shoot at 100,000 ISO. And the 18% more battery capacity is nice to have, but I have a battery in the SL2S, which I can also use on the Q3 and take that with me if needed. There's now 4 function buttons instead of 3. That's nice to have, but not essential. And I don't think I'll be getting the wireless charging accessories. That's just another accessory to take up space on the desk. The camera is now faster to download the photos to the Photos app, but I don't download it that way either. I usually just put the SD card into my laptop. The improved autofocus I'm not sure about yet because I haven't tested it out enough to come up with a good opinion on it. I do plan on shooting video with the Q3, and it now has contrast and phase detect autofocus, which is supposed to be stickier and more accurate. And the rest of these features, in my opinion, I felt that they were more important in the way that I use the camera, so these played some part in deciding to upgrade. It now has a BSI sensor, which should provide better low light performance. USB-C charging is a positive, since I don't have to use that bulky charging cradle, and I can also charge this in the car and top it off if needed, and I could probably also use a power bank to charge this. And with future firmware updates, it may be possible to use the USB-C port to attach an external microphone. The tilt screen is the feature that I'm most excited about using, and it may be the #1 feature of the Q3. Some people say it disrupts the clean lines of the Leica Q2, but I don't think it does. I think it fits in well. And just having the ability to shoot from the hip and compose better, and to take more discrete photos. I did notice that when the screen was tilted out, the EVF would not work, so you have to snap the screen back in place before you can use the EVF again. And I said I didn't notice the improved EVF much, but I did notice the improvement of the LCD screen on the rear. The graphics and the text on the info bars look more crisp, especially that battery icon. It has a continuous gauge now instead of those blocky gauges. The quality of the rear LCD screen now looks equal to the M11 and the SL2S. And that was something that was lagging on the Leica Q2. And I like the improved layout of the controls on the back. They moved the controls over to the right side, removed the FN button, and added a plain FN button to the top. Anything that removes extra text or labeling on a camera body, I'm in favor of it. And the quality of the buttons are also improved. It has a much nicer tactile feedback to it, and it feels on the same quality as the M11. And I like the option of adding a soft release button to the shutter release. I never realized how beneficial it would be until I tried it out on the M11, but it just makes the shooting experience better. It's easier to release the shutter, and it results in more steadier shots. One feature that's still missing from the Q3 is internal storage. They added 64 megabytes to the M11 and 256 to the M11 monochrome, so I was sure that they would add something to the Q3, but apparently I think there might not have been enough room internally in the camera body to add internal storage. Bottom line, these were the new features that were most important to me and played the most part in deciding whether to upgrade to the Q3. These will be different for you, and you'll have different priorities based on your use case scenario. So then I have to decide whether these features that I listed are important enough to justify upgrading to the Q3 and the hassle of selling the Q2. And if I had to be objective about it, I would say no. These are very incremental upgrades, except for the tilt screen, and I don't think these features are enough to justify the extra cost of upgrading. But as I said, buying a Leica is also an emotional experience and not completely logical. So I love having the latest technology in this Q3, the improved LCD screen, the improved buttons, and the tilt screen. And I think now having the Q3 makes it a little bit more future-proof, and I don't think I would have to upgrade this for at least 5 years. As for my accessories, the first thing I did was put on the old hand grip from the Q2, and it still fits perfectly on the Q3. And when I set it down on the desk, it will still stand up straight. Without the hand grip or without a case, the camera body still leans forward. As I said, I'm not going to buy the extra wireless charging system. That's a lot of extra money to pay for another hand grip and a wireless charging base station. And I think the new hand grip is more bulky than the old one, and the charging base will take up extra space on the desk. And I'm just going to use the USB port to charge the Q2. Next, I ordered the Leica thumbs up accessory in the silver color, and I ordered a silver soft release button from Amazon. And I also ordered a silver lens hood, which hasn't come in yet. Not the new one, but I ordered an older one that came with the silver Leica Q. The pricing on these new Leica accessories are highway robbery. You could easily spend $1,000 extra on just those basic accessories. But I think this thumbs up accessory is the only option now. The old one won't work anymore because now there's 2 function buttons instead of 1 on the top of the back of the camera. The new accessories come in the option of black, silver, or a brass color. Leica made the options of silver and brass so you can show off to your friends that you actually have the new Q3 and you're not just holding the old Q2. Another new feature is the Leica Looks. And this is a feature where the camera will edit your photos in camera. And this only works on the Leica Q3. And it only works when shooting JPEG. So you have to make sure you're not shooting in RAW. You can choose between a few different presets and download them to your camera. They're almost like filters you apply on your iPhone pictures. To access these, you open the Photos app and connect to your Q3 camera. And this can take a while sometimes, and it sometimes fails, and you have to restart the application and the camera. And I'll show you exactly how long it takes to connect to the camera. And I think Leica needs to work on making this faster. Once it's connected, it shows you your photo gallery, and up on the left upper corner, you tap that icon, and that gives you the Leica Looks. And it says right there, Leica Q3 only. And the ones that they have here available are Contemporary, Classic, Blue, Selenium, and Sepia. And once you tap on one of them, it gives you a description of what it looks like and the option to transfer it to your camera. So it describes the contemporary look as a natural and modern aesthetic, bright shadows, natural colors, and a subtle reddish tint. And it describes the classic look as an analog cinema look, and it has a bright, high contrast, greenish tint. Once you have them transferred to the camera, go into the camera menu, make sure you're shooting in JPEG, and then go to the JPEG settings, and you see a new option that says Leica Looks. And under that menu, it will show you the different looks that's been downloaded onto your camera. Before I downloaded these two, this menu was empty. And now I have to choose one of them whenever I'm shooting JPEG. And I don't know if there's a way to remove them or have the option of not to use any of them. I usually shoot only in DNG, so I probably won't be using this very often, but I'll have to take a closer look at it. It's just another nice option to have, and it makes the Q3 more of a fun, quick, casual camera. And if you don't like to edit your own photos, this may save some time. And here are my accessories so far, and how I dressed up my Q3 to be the best hipster camera out there. The hand grip is left over from my Q2, and the finger loop is left over from my M11. But they did manage to squeeze some more money out of me with a couple other accessories. Of course, the thumb support is essential. It really helps me get a better grip on the camera. So the thumb support combined with the hand grip, combined with the finger loop, really makes this much more comfortable and easy to hold. Instead of pinching and grasping the camera body by itself, the other accessories redistribute the weight across your whole hand and fingers. So it gets much less fatiguing to hold this camera all day long. And the silver soft release was from Amazon, and that only cost $7.99 for two of them. I thought the new lens hoods are a little bit too bulky, so I went for an old lens hood. And this one is a replacement for the silver Leica Q. I still need one more thing. I'll have to look for a screen protector for the back, and I'll have to look for a protective UV filter if I don't have one lying around the house. I didn't go over all the new features of the Q3, but those were just the major ones that caught my attention. I'm sure there's much more. Let me know in the comments what your favorite new feature is. I think mine is the tilt-out screen.